atomic model. Who is Bohr? So Niels Bohr is a Danish physicist, and in the year 1913 he gave the clear explanation of atomic structure. Atomic structure means the structure of an atom. And what is an atom? Atom is the smallest particle of an element. Now, according to Bohr, atom consists of positively charged nucleus around which negatively charged electrons revolve in different circular orbit. Circular, or rather we can say elliptical orbits. The electrons can revolve around the nucleus only in certain permitted orbits. It means that the orbits have certain radius which is allowed, and it cannot be changed unless and until some external energy is applied. The electrons in each permitted orbit have certain fixed amount of energy. Larger the orbit, greater is the energy of electrons, as we have discussed earlier. So what does the Niels Bohr atomic model says? That atom consists of positively charged nucleus around which negatively charged electrons revolve in different circular orbits. The orbits have certain radius and they have fixed amount of energy. Larger the orbit, larger the radius, larger the energy of the electrons. So if an electron is given additional energy in the form of heat or light or potential difference, etc., it is lifted, it is moved to higher orbit. And hence, when the external energy is applied, the atom is said to be in a state of excitation. This state of excitation does not last long because the electron soon falls back to the original lower orbit. What does it mean? If we give additional energy, the electron is lifted to the higher orbit. If it is lifted to the higher orbit, means the atom is in the state of excitation. But soon the electron falls back to the original lower orbit as soon as the energy is removed. As it falls, it gives back the acquired energy in the form of heat, light, or radiation. Means when there is a change in the orbit from higher to lower and lower to higher, the energy is given back by this electron in the form of heat, light, or radiation. Now we will see the structure of silicon atom. As we have seen in the previous lecture, there is nothing different, but again we will see the structure of silicon atom. It has 14 electrons, 2 electrons in the first orbit, 8 electrons in the second orbit, and 4 in the third orbit. The first orbit is called as K orbit, second is L orbit, and third is the M orbit. So this is the atomic structure of silicon. First orbit 2, second orbit 8, and the third orbit is 4 electrons. Now the distance from the center of nucleus to the first orbit is denoted by radius 1, r1. Distance from center of the nucleus to the second orbit is radius r2, and distance from the center of the nucleus to the third orbit is called as r3. Now the electrons revolve only in the permitted orbits of radius r1, r2, r3, so on and so forth. Thus, all radii between r1, r2 or between r2, r3 are the forbidden energy gaps. Means the distance between radius r1, r2, this white space, the distance between r1 and r2, r2 and r3, this space is the forbidden energy gap. Each orbit has fixed amount of energy associated with it. If electron in the first orbit is to be lifted to the second orbit, amount of energy should be supplied to it. So if you want to move the electrons from one orbit to another, we have to apply some right amount of energy, and this energy is a total energy required to move from one orbit to the another orbit. What does it mean? If I want to move the electron from r1 to r2, if I want to move the electron from the radius r1 to radius r2, then I have to apply the electrons of radius r1 equal amount of energy of that of r2. Then only the electron from r1 will be lifted to r2. Means equal amount of energy with these electrons of radius r2. The same energy must be applied to the electrons of r1. Then and only then the electrons from r1 will be moved to r2. So when this electron jumps from second orbit to first, it will give back acquired energy in the form of electromagnetic radiation. So when the electron is jumping from its excitation orbit to the rest orbit, then the energy is given back in the form of electromagnetic radiations. Energy levels related with the different electrons in the different orbits. As we have seen earlier also that each orbit has fixed amount of energy associated with it. The electrons moving in a particular orbit possesses the energy of that orbit. The larger the orbit, greater is its energy. So it is clear that the outermost orbit electrons possesses more energy than the innermost orbit electrons. So these diagrams are the convenient way of representing the energy levels of different orbits, electrons in the different orbits. In figure 1 we can see, we have shown these blue lines indicates the orbits of orbits where the electrons revolve. This R1, R2, R3 represents the radius, that is the distance between the orbit and the center of the nucleus. So this second diagram is the very convenient way of representing the energy of different orbits. So we can see that energy associated with the first orbit of radius r1, it is given the name first energy level. This lowermost line indicates the edge of the nucleus, means this edge of the nucleus. This edge of the nucleus. Second orbit R2 is having the second energy level. Third orbit, that is R3, having the third energy level. So this diagram is known as energy level diagram. This diagram, let me zoom it. So this diagram too, this whole diagram is called as energy level diagram. What we are seeing here, this energy level diagram represents the energy level of electrons in a different orbits. Energy diagram represents the energy level of the electrons in the different orbits. The first orbit represents the first energy level, second orbit represents the second energy level, and so on and so forth. Larger the orbit of an electron, greater is the energy and higher is the energy level. So third energy level is the higher energy level, and the orbit is also having the highest radius, and it is having the highest energy. Now, what is the meaning of energy bands? First we have seen energy levels. Now we will see energy bands. So in case of single isolated atom, the electrons in any orbit possesses definite energy. But an atom in a solid is greatly influenced by closely packed neighboring atoms. So in a solid, the atoms in a solid is influenced by its closely packed neighboring atoms. So what is the result of that? The result is that the electrons in any orbit of such an atom can have a range of energies rather than a single energy. What does it mean? It means that in a single isolated atoms, although it is having a definite energy, but this energy of an electron, which is definite in nature, but it is influenced by the neighboring atoms, and this is the case only in solid states. The result is that the electron in any orbit of such atoms of a solid can have range of energies rather than single energy. Means it is having a definite single energy, but now the energies will vary because it is affected by neighboring atoms. So this is known as energy band. The band of energies possessed, or the range of energies possessed by an electron in any orbit, is called as energy band. So how we will define energy band? It is the range of energies possessed by an electron in a solid is known as energy band. This is very important definition. Previously it is having only single definite energy, but now as the electron in an atom is influenced by the neighboring atoms, hence it will have a range of energies. The energy level will vary, and hence that all the variations will form a range, and this range of energies possessed by an electron in a solid is known as energy band. Now we will see the concept of energy band by using a suitable diagram. Now we have seen this diagram previously, nucleus and the different orbits having the different radius. Then this is the energy level diagram, and this third diagram is the energy band diagram. If you look this energy level of the first orbit, just single straight line, it is having, the electron is having a fixed definite energy. Now in this energy band diagram, it is represented by a hash rectangle, a solid bar, a single line, now it is a bar. Second energy level, second energy band. Third energy level, third band. Means a line is now represented by a rectangular block. A straight simple line means a fixed line is represented by a rectangular block. Definite energy, range of energies. Definite energy, range of energy. So this range of energy possessed by an electron is called as energy band. So this figure shows the energy level of single isolated atom of silicon. Single atom will have fixed energy. Now if the atom is surrounded by other atom which is closely packed, then each orbit will have the band of energies. Each orbit of an atom has a single energy in single isolated atom of silicon. Therefore, an electron can have only single energy corresponding to the orbit in which it exists. First orbit, single energy level. Second orbit, single energy level. Third orbit, single energy level. So when the atom is in solid, the electron in any orbit can have a range of energies. So as we can see in this figure, in any orbit, the single energy is now represented as range of energies. For instance, let us say that electrons in the first orbit have slightly different energies, because no two electrons in this orbit, no two electrons see exactly the same charge environment. Since there are millions of first orbit electrons, the slightly different energy level forms a band. As there are millions of first orbit electrons, why I have said millions of first orbit electrons? Because in any element there are millions of atoms, and each atom of that millions of atom will have millions of first orbit electrons. Hence, as there are millions of first orbit electrons, the slightly different energy levels forms a band, and this band is called as first energy band, as we will see in the figure. So this is the first band energy. The electrons in the first orbit can have any energy range in this band, can have any range. Similarly, the second orbit electrons forms a second energy band, and third orbit will form third energy band, and so on and so forth. Energy bands in solids. There are a number of important energy bands in the solid. We will study one by one in detail. Valence band. The range of energies possessed by valence electrons is known as valence band. The range of energies possessed by valence electrons. Valence electrons means the electrons in the outermost orbit. The range of energies possessed by valence electrons is known as valence band. That is, the electrons in the outermost orbit of an atom are known as valence electrons. In a normal atom, the valence band has the electrons of highest energy. The valence band electrons has the highest energy if it is not excited, not given any electric or a magnetic field. Now this valence band may be completely or partially filled. It is not necessary that it is having 8 electrons. It can have 1 electron, 2 electrons, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Up to 7 it is partially filled. When it will be completely filled? It will be completely filled only if it is having 8 electrons. So in case of inert gases such as xenon, for example xenon gas, the valence band is full, whereas for other materials it is only partially filled. Valence band is full means it is having 8 electrons in its outermost orbit. The partially filled band can accommodate more electrons. How many electrons it can accommodate? Of course, if outermost orbit has 7 electrons, the number of electrons it can accommodate is 1. If it is having 1 electrons, it can accommodate 7 electrons. But it will not accommodate 7 electrons, rather it will give away the electrons. We will see the condition when it will give away the electrons, when it will share the electrons. So generally, if the valence electrons are less than 4, means if the valence electrons are 1, 2 or 3, the element will give away the electrons. But if the valence band has 5 electrons, 6 electrons or 7 electrons, it will acquire, it will accommodate electrons from other elements. Next is the conduction band. In certain materials, for example metals, the valence electrons are loosely attached to the nucleus. Even at ordinary temperature, some of the valence electrons may get detached and they become free electrons. And these free electrons are responsible for the conduction of current in a conductor. So at the ordinary temperature, the valence electrons get detached, becomes free, and these free electrons will carry the current when external electric field is applied to the material or element. And hence these electrons are called as conduction electrons. So the electrons in the conduction band are called as conduction electrons. Hence, the range of energies possessed by the conduction band electrons is known as conduction band. In the previous definition, I have said the range of energies possessed by valence band electrons is known as valence band. Similarly, the range of energies possessed by conduction band electrons is known as conduction band. All the electrons in the conduction band are free electrons. If a substance has empty conduction band, it means current conduction is not possible. Means if there are no electrons in the conduction band, no current will flow through that element or substance. So which elements? All the insulators have empty conduction band. The conduction band is partially filled for conductors. Now another term is forbidden energy gap. The separation between the conduction band and the valence band. The separation between the conduction band and the valence band, the energy level diagram is known as forbidden energy gap. The gap between the conduction band and the valence band is known as forbidden energy gap. It's very simple. No electron of a solid can stay in a forbidden energy gap, as there is no allowed energy state. So if there is no electron in this forbidden gap, there is no conduction of current. Now how to measure how much is the forbidden energy gap? How much is the separation between the conduction band and the valence band? So the width of the forbidden energy gap is a measure of the bondage of valence electrons to the atom. What I am trying to say that whatever is the width of the forbidden energy gap, that width indicates how much the valence electrons are attached to the atom. The greater the energy gap, between the conduction band and the valence band, the more tightly the valence electrons are attached or bounded to the nucleus, and less is the energy gap, loosely the valence electrons are attached to the nucleus. So in order to push electron from valence band to the conduction band, that is to make the valence electrons free so that it can carry the current, external energy equal to the forbidden energy gap must be applied to the electron so that it can move from valence band to the conduction band. So this diagram represents the energy band diagram of any material. This is a general diagram which shows the valence band, this valence band, conduction band, and the difference between the valence band and the conduction band is the forbidden energy gap. Greater the gap, more tightly the electrons are bounded to the nucleus. The band energy is increasing towards the conduction band. As the band increasing, the energy is also increasing. Less is the forbidden energy gap, loosely they are attached. Loosely the electrons are attached to the nucleus. Next topic is classification of solids and energy bands. So we know that solids are good conductors of electricity. Insulators are bad conductors of electricity. And semiconductors are intermediate between conductors and insulators. So the behavior of solids with respect to the electrical conductivity can be explained very beautifully in terms of energy band. The electrons in the lower energy band are tightly bound to the nucleus and play no part in the conduction process. The valence and conduction bands are of very importance in asserting the electrical behavior of various solids. So this valence band and conduction bands are important to study the electrical behavior of the solids. We will see in detail. First solid is insulator. So insulators, for example, wood, glass, plastic, rubber are those substances which do not allow the passage of electric current through them. In terms of energy band, we say that the valence band is completely filled and the conduction band is completely empty. As the conduction band is completely empty, it does not have any free electrons, and hence no current can flow through it. So in most of the insulators, the energy gap, the forbidden energy gap, that is the gap between the valence band and the conduction band, is very large. It is more than 15 electron volts. So the forbidden energy gap is measured in terms of electron volt, and this is shown in the figure. So this is energy band representation of insulators. As we can see, the lowermost is the valence band, uppermost is the conduction band. This conduction band is empty and the valence band is totally filled. The forbidden energy gap, forbidden band, the gap between the conduction band and the valence band is approximately 15 electron volt. So this diagram is of insulators where the forbidden energy gap is around 15 electron volt and more than that. Conduction band completely empty, no electrons. Valence band completely filled with electrons. Hence, a very high electric field is required to push the electrons from this valence band to the conduction band. So generally in case of insulators, thousands of volts is required to push the valence electrons from this valence band to the conduction band so that the conduction take place. Thousands of volts. For this reason, the electrical conductivity of such materials is extremely small and may be regarded as nil under the ordinary conditions. So at the room temperature, the valence electrons of the insulators do not have enough energy to cross over to conduction band. Means the valence band electrons cannot move to the conduction band in the normal room temperature. However, when the temperature is raised, some of the valence electrons may acquire enough energy to cross over to the conduction band. So what is the condition? Either the temperature has to be raised or either external energy has to be applied so that the electrons from the valence band will move to the conduction band. Hence, the resistance of an insulator decreases with the increase in the temperature. As the temperature increases, resistance decreases, and this is called as negative temperature coefficient of resistance. As temperature increases, resistance decreases, and as resistance decreases, conductivity increases. This is very important point, and hence we say that insulators have negative temperature coefficient of resistance. Next is conductors. Conductors, for example, copper or aluminum, are those substances which allows the passage of electric current through them. They allows the electric current to flow through them. So it is because of large number of free electrons available in the conductor. This is only possible because there are large number of free electrons in the conductors. In terms of energy band, the valence band and the conduction band overlaps each other in the conductors. So this is the speciality, that the valence band and the conduction band get overlaps in the conductor, and hence there are large number of free electrons in the conductor. We will see in the figure. So as you can see this figure, the energy band diagram for the conductors, the valence band and the conduction band, they are totally overlapped, and as they are overlapped, there are more free number of electrons. In the ordinary condition, the current can flow through the conductor just by simply applying the external potential difference or external electric supply. So due to this overlapping, a very small potential difference across the conductor causes the free electrons to move, and this movement of free electrons constitutes the electric current. So what is electric current? The movement of electrons, the flow of electrons is called as current. Thus, the electrical behavior of conductors can be explained very satisfactorily with the band energy theory of the materials, that is the overlapping of the conduction band and the valence band. So this overlapping means there are large number of free electrons available in the conductor. And the third one is the semiconductors. Semiconductors are those materials, for example, germanium and silicon are those materials or elements or substances whose electrical conductivity lies between the conductors and insulators. In terms of the energy band, we say that the valence band is almost filled and the conduction band is almost empty. The energy gap between the valence band and the conduction band is very small, approximately 1 electron volt. We will see in the figure. So as in this figure represents the energy band diagram of an semiconductor. The valence band is partially filled, conduction band is empty. Partially filled means it has 4 electrons in the valence band. The forbidden energy gap is very less, approximately 1 electron volt. So this is forbidden energy gap. Here I have not labeled it, but so as you can see in this figures, this is energy band diagram for the semiconductor. The forbidden energy gap, as I have written here, it is approximately 1 electron volt. It is between the conduction band and the valence band. So therefore, comparatively smaller electrical field, that is smaller than the insulators but much greater than conductors, is required to push the electrons from this valence band to the conduction band. In short, we can conclude that a semiconductor has almost full valence band, almost empty conduction band, and a small energy gap that is approximately or equal to 1 electron volt between the valence and the conduction band. At low temperatures, the valence band is completely full and conduction band is completely empty. Therefore, a semiconductor is virtually acts as an insulator at low temperatures. However, at room temperature, some electrons, about 1 electron for around 10 to the power 10 atoms, cross over the conduction band, and because of this action, a little conductivity is added to the semiconductors. So this number seems to be very small, 1 electron for 10 to the power 10 atom, but this is sufficient for conduction of electric current through the semiconductors. So as the temperature increases, more valence electrons cross over the conduction band and the conductivity increases, and hence we can say that the semiconductors again have a negative temperature coefficient of resistance. As temperature increases, the electrical conductivity increases, that is, the resistivity decreases. Hence we say that the semiconductors have negative temperature coefficient of resistance. Increase in the temperature decreases the resistance. Resume. So this is a comparison between the energy bands of insulators, conductors and semiconductors. In the insulators, the forbidden energy gap is around 15 electron volt. The forbidden energy gap is very, very large. In the conductors, the conduction band and the valence band overlap each other. There is no forbidden energy gap. And in the semiconductors, the forbidden energy gap is very, very less, that is around 1 electron volt. The forbidden energy gap is the gap between the valence band and the conduction band. So this is all about the energy bands of insulators, conductors and semiconductors.